Serious question in light of the president's halting gait at times, but also in the recent wake of right-wing media selectively editing video to claim Mr. Biden wandered off.
The far right used selectively edited video to claim that Biden was wandering off like some dementia patient.
Now, we know the Post is basically disgusting. A tabloid, but it's not on the cover of the Times or the Washington Post. But I wanted to pick it up in there and start telling people, this is fake, this is fake.
Are people going to buy that, Joe?
No, they're not, clearly, because you see poll after poll, Carly, that shows 75, 80% of the country. So that means not just far-right Republicans, but also independents and Democrats do not want Joe Biden to run for a second term and serve until he's 86 years old, because to your point, he'll be 82 soon. And this is the 81-year-old version. And as I said before, this thing it's not like toothpaste. You can't put it back in the tube. This is going to only get worse at this point, and I don't know what Democrats do. The debate on June 27th in Atlanta is everything for this man. If he does not perform well, and we're talking about a very low bar here, but without a teleprompter and without scripted remarks, he needs to show that he can still do this job and make an argument and defend his record. It's hard to see how that's going to happen at this point, but we'll see.
Yeah, there is an interesting Washington Post op-ed saying that to solve the concerns over Joe Biden's age, he should replace Kamala Harris with Hillary Clinton as vice president. I don't know if Hillary Clinton to the rescue is the solution, but that's the opinion of one Washington Post op-ed writer. What are you guys doing?
We're all going to die.
Know what they say about the crazy ones?
Huh? What was that? I should kill everyone and escape? Sorry. The voices.
The hell's wrong with you people?
We're bad guys. It's what we do. Hope you got insurance.
I never thought that Hillary Clinton as Margot Robbie would work. But wow, did that work? Holy moly. I was not prepared for that one. I wasn't mentally, physically prepared to just see that. But because I don't want Hillary. Don't ever want to see Hillary Clinton dressed as Harley Quinn. But man, whew, did that just send me? Okay, all right, baby, let's lock it in here. Today is Wednesday, June 19th, 2024. Kamala Harris declares herself Madame President in an official video. Is this confirming what we just reported on yesterday? That this is going to be the option? And then a new push has begun for Joe Biden to pick Hillary Clinton as vice president to get a free shot on goal. Oh, this is going to be interesting. Chairman Barry Loudermilk joins the show. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. So we have our blackout coffee in hand. It is always right within reach because you need your blackout coffee to stay sane. We have to have the caffeine to cover this, what is absolutely spiraling into one of the craziest news cycles that we'll probably ever experience. The next couple of months, you got to lock up and lock in and be prepared. Be prepared. We're prepared. I don't live too far from the studio. You know that we can go, this show goes live like at a moment's notice, thanks to Blackout Coffee, thanks to me staying just generally too caffeinated. But we're going to see some crazy times. We're going to see some crazy times. Stay committed. Have enough energy to fight the communists. Do so with Blackout Coffee, an awesome company, 100% American, 100% American product made right here in the great state of Florida. They're an awesome, awesome company. They're family owned, and they can keep you going the way they keep us going. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Use the coupon code Benny for 20% off your first order. Blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Be awake, not woke. Okay. So I want to do just a little bit of a rehash of what we talked about yesterday, because I got a lot of feedback from the show yesterday. A lot of people calling us and telling us that we're right. A lot of people calling us, telling us that we're wrong. And a lot of people saying, well, we should wait and see. We have something pretty remarkable from this morning. And I want to play Klein, the Kamala Harris video. I want to play this Kamala Harris video that just dropped this morning. And I want to just say that there is a trend that many are noticing that Joe Biden is about to be replaced. And that actually you've reached an inflection period where there really is, I mean, Joe Biden won't perform well at the debate, and there isn't really going to be any there's going to be no saving this guy. And the Democrat Party is in such a bad position because, one, they've been hiding who Joe Biden is. They've been rigging elections, right? The Hunter Biden laptop. They've been openly rigging elections, trying to keep the depravity or the capacity of the American electorate to actually learn who Joe Biden is. They've been insulating people from that. There's no more insulation left anymore. People just hate this guy. They hate what the ruling class has pushed on us. And Joe Biden is going to be the one who suffers from all of this. And so now there is a full force pressure from inside the DNC, from inside of Democrat Party politics. We talked about this yesterday, but we had a series of very interesting conversations with people in DC who operate inside these circles, and they're saying that Joe Biden's about to be replaced. That the goal would be Joe Biden gets replaced, and here's how the game theory works. You shove Kamala Harris in there, you claim your historic moment, first black woman, right? First black woman hyena to ever be president. And then Kamala Harris is going to lose. She's going to lose to Trump. Biden's going to lose to Trump. But then you can claim that Trump's racist for beating Kamala Harris. And that, Donald Trump should have been nicer to her in the debates or something like that. But the goal would be then to effectively get Kamala Harris in, hope there's a honeymoon period, right? Maybe people will try, some people will show up to try and reelect her. Don't think so. But that would be one play. That would be one possible that would be one possible gameplay here. And then lo and behold, this morning, Kamala Harris, from her official X account with 14.4 million followers, releases a video. Here's the video, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi. We talk on it. Just so you know, we're gonna fight every urge not to open drawers, but it's in our DNA.
See, there's John Lewis.
Yeah.
So there we are on the Edmund Pettus Bridge.
Oh,
wow.
Honey, I know, Madam Vice President.
Catch it? Okay, so this is just we used to do whole videos on this kind of stuff, this level of cringe. Okay, this is the expected level of cringe from this administration. Remember, this is the administration that let Dylan Mulvaney interview Joe Biden. We don't stop enough to fully absorb that. Also, Alex, can you help me down that one influencer that went in with Jen Psaki and was working with Jen Psaki and did a day at the White House? Yeah, okay. I can't remember what the guy's name is. This is not. I'm not showing you this to show you that the White House is capable of cringe beyond human comprehension. We know this already. Okay, there has been so many chapters written by this White House that says it is fully capable of creating cringe beyond human comprehension. That's not what I'm showing you. I'm showing you this because of this image. No, Klein, you had it right. I'm showing you this because of this image. This is the image. in this video, the guest of Kamala Harris calls her Madame Vice President. Yet the video itself has the caption on it, Madame President. Meaning Kamala Harris's team went in and selectively edited what happened in the video to call Kamala Harris president. There it is. This is directly from the video. You just played the video. There you go. So what is this saying? Did they just let the mask slip? Did they just confirm everything that we reported over the last couple of days? That Kamala Harris is already acting as president? That they are this close? Joe Biden has a health thing. Hunter Biden. I can already see the press release in my mind. Joe Biden has an announcement at 8 p.m. on Monday night. It's effective today. I'm resigning the office of president to focus on my children and the struggles and my own health, whatever, right? Whatever. It comes a time in a man's life, blah, blah, blah. You can already see it. And then they switch out Kamala. Then they get a free shot on goal to get their new historic DEI identity politics W. And that's how that's their Hail Mary. That's their Hail Mary, right? With Vice President Buttigieg. That's what. And then lo and behold, so we talked about this. We talked about this yesterday. Lo and behold, here's what we see this morning. Kamala Harris's team actively already calling her president. Actively calling her president. The person in the video said Madame Vice President. They edited it to call her president. From the official account. It's not some dumb influencer. This is from the official account. What an insult to Joe Biden. I mean, step back. What if you're on Team Joe Biden? No, nobody's really on Team Joe Biden, but let's say you actually work for him and you actually like your job. What an insult this is. What a break in decorum. I'll wait and see. We put this up on X, but I'll wait and see. Maybe they'll delete it. Maybe they won't. They don't care. This is what they think. And this is what they want. But man, what an open insult to the resident of the White House. Again, this was from an official account. It's from the official account. So somebody, and these things go through huge layers of approvals before they're put out. There is an entire institution that says Kamala Harris is either becoming or about to become the president. That's the only way something like this gets through. Now, there are unofficial accounts. There are actual influencers that go through the White House. It's why we don't even, this doesn't even register on the cringe level, because we know what it looks like when the influencers that the White House invite come through and melt all of our collective eyeballs as we watch things like this.
Democracy's calling. See you, Daddy. Bye.
Hi, my name is Cooper, and this is a day in my life as a White House intern.
We did it, Joe. Hey, everyone. Vogue.
Usually I start off with a big coffee. Sorry, they're like really strict in here.
Hey, Jenny. I booked you a nail appointment, love.
Yeah, I didn't tell you to do that.
It's called Initiative. Hi, White House. This is Cooper. I don't think so. Oh, doesn't matter.
This is actually the entrance to the West Wing. This is so fun, and it's really prestigious.
Hey, POTUS. Is Olivia Rodrigo still here?
No. We've come a long way in our fight against this virus. We've vaccinated 160 million Americans. Are you getting this all down?
Don't worry, Queen. It's all right here.
Cooper.
Sorry, Miss Jen. And Jen, don't forget to have fun. Spirit fingers, Mama.
We need to get shots in the arms of every single American.
I'm heading to a haircut.
Comment if you want me to make more of these.
These are the people running the country. So does that excite you? You excited for that? These are the people running the country. So this is this is the cringe that the White House is capable of. It's why the Kamala Harris video didn't even faze us. Okay, so that is one potential gameplay for what's about to happen. Kamala becomes president. They kick Joe Biden out of office. There is another that is beginning to take hold. Here from this Daily Mail article from this morning, which is that Joe Biden, who's a dead man walking, should choose Hillary Clinton as his vice president, knowing that he won't make it through his term, and all of the people who feel so bitter and wronged about 2016 and all the, you've seen all the videos, right? All the seething, crying libs. They can get their free shot on goal with Hillary now. Biden should replace Kamala Harris on the ballot with Hillary Clinton, Washington Post columnist claims. Biden has left Democrats wondering how to jumpstart his floundering campaign. Doubts have also existed over the ability of Kamala Harris as a second in command. Columnist Kathleen Parker wrote that Dems should look to their recent past. Oh my. Biden, who has struggled in the polls nationally in key swing states and has left Democrats wondering if major changes are needed to beat Donald Trump in November, questions and doubts over the health and ability to perform at the job of the oldest president in American history. Harris, the first female black vice president in American history, has also struggled with poll numbers. A Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist says, bring in Hillary. Okay? This is what she says. Her piece, she says, Hillary Clinton should be the running mate. Clinton served as First Lady, as Secretary of State, blah, blah, blah. Parker argues that Harris lacks competency, which deters voters who see Biden's steady decline over the years, and that Clinton could provide the reinsurance despite being 76 years old herself. If Biden needs to step down, even those who didn't vote for Hillary Clinton, to have confidence in her ability to keep the country on track, Parker wrote. Isn't that amazing? You got to reread that. If Biden needs to step down, those who didn't vote for Clinton would have confidence in her ability to keep the country on track. They're just openly saying it. They're just openly saying it. Yeah, we're gonna take Joe Biden out back. We'll use the Joe Biden campaign as a vehicle to give you Hillary Clinton as president. And you're going to like it. She also believes that Clinton's 2016 loss, which she spent the last 8 years playing the blame game over, still rankles her and leaves her with unfinished business. At 76, Clinton might want no part of it, but it's hard to retire when you feel the job isn't done. Oh my. Oh boy. She called it impossible to ignore Biden's stumbles and his search for words and his occasional blank stare. So which one's it going to be? Which one's it going to be? Can Kamala Harris win a presidential election? Unlikely, says the vast majority of people. Democrats, Republicans, independents, people hate Kamala Harris. They really don't like Kamala Harris. They don't like Kamala Harris more than they don't like Joe Biden. And Joe Biden's the most unpopular president to be running for re-election in the history of America. So they're in a bad place. Democrats are in a bad spot. And I'm not saying that because of hopium and copium and because I like my side wins all the time. Like that's not what we're trying to do here. We are optimists on this program. We are glass half full, silver linings kind of guys, but we're also realists, and we have to report a lot of really bad news on this program. And so we do our best to stay grounded in reality. And I'm telling you, the DNC is in a really, really, really bad spot right now. I don't think that there's anybody who really knows what to do. I don't think there's anyone who actually really knows what the play could be here. So that seems to be the two trains of thought that are being built out here. So you deep six Joe Biden and you force his resignation and you make Kamala president, or you put Hillary Clinton in there with the assumption that if Joe Biden squeaks by in 2024, that he immediately resigns, maybe the day he gets sworn into office, maybe before even the inauguration, and you just put Hillary. Why not just make Hillary the candidate at that point, right? Then you sneak Hillary in through the back door. Those are the true general trains of thought. What do you think is going to happen? Here's what we know. We know that Joe Biden is not well. This is just from yesterday. It's one of many, many videos. Joe Biden's starting to do something far worse than like slur his words. And Joe Biden is beginning to not know where he is and to just freeze like a dementia patient who you see shuffling down the hallway of the nursing home. And you just see the guy, have you seen this? I had older members of my family that were in nursing homes, and you just see these like sad old people that like don't know where they are, and they're just kind of like stuck in the corner of the nursing home. You always see that, right? They're wearing like the little robe. Yeah, this is Joe Biden now.
Thanks to all the members of Congress and Homeland Security Secretary. I'm not sure I'm going to do so.
Dude, that is so hard. That is so hard to watch. Think about the cruelty that the family must be willing to endure. How could you do that? If you loved somebody in your family, how could you do that to them? Really? That's such a painful clip. Play that one more time. This is hard to watch.
Thanks to all the members of Congress and Homeland Security Secretary. I'm not sure I'm going to do so.
Man, dude, that is rough. That is there's no way that you can't argue yourself. You can't argue yourself out of that. Joe Biden just has straight up full-blown dementia. And they are desecrating his corpse like necrophiliacs in order to retain power. These people. Really, it is an abomination. They're worried, by the way, that you'll see clips like that. They're angry that those kind of clips are circulating and going so viral online. And so they're doing their best to say that those kind of clips are Russian disinformation and should be censored by all social media. This is the new play here. Now, we began yesterday's show by saying that one of the major things that we learned is that the DNC is really angry about clips of Joe Biden falling down the stairs and looking old, and that they're really upset and are trying to limit the distribution of those clips. That is something that is really, it doesn't upset them like the Lake and Riley story. That doesn't upset them. That's actually their goal, okay? The open border, like these murders that happen because of their policies, they don't care about that. They're trying to censor clips of Joe Biden looking old and decrepit. This is what they care the very most about. Why? Man, I mean, you gotta ask that question, and then you gotta look at like the landscape as it is, and you realize because that's the biggest threat to them. That's their biggest threat is that people really understand who Joe Biden is. And this has been their biggest threat for a very long time. That people start to, like the Hunter Biden trial, like really revealed the depravity of the Biden family, and they can't have that. And so they're going to attack now clips. They're going to attack like clips that are filmed by like C-SPAN and like the AP, and they're going to say that they're Russian disinformation. They're trying to put frictions on them and ban them because it's such a threat to their power. It's incredible. Watch this.
That's what we're seeing. That's what the Biden administration, the Biden campaign is so worried about right now. But make no mistake, they are worried about this. This is a real problem. This is not some made-up fiction. The videos are oftentimes made up, but the problem is real. Because some of us, Abby, watch a 40-minute speech by Biden. We see the full context. Other people only watch a 5-second clip. And that's going to be something that's going to, I suspect, follow Biden for the rest of this campaign.
Cheap fakes. Oh, boy. Cheap fakes. Karine Jean-Pierre said that those clips were Russian disinformation. the clips of Joe Biden recently. It was Russian disinformation. Man, I tell you, they're desperate. They're desperate. Hillary Clinton has been doing some recent media also. Hillary Clinton has decided to jump in to the news cycle the day of Donald Trump's conviction. Here's what she did.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Anything going on today?
Okay. Got it. How about the biggest threat to our country from Hillary Clinton's perspective? That would be a politician who locks up his political opponents. Yes. Of course, she's not talking about Joe Biden. No. In this universe where you are allowed to have the isolated bubble think that is created only by watching exclusively MSNBC at all times and having the New York Times plugged into the back of your head, you are allowed to say that Donald Trump is the one who's a threat to democracy because Donald Trump's going to lock up all of his political opponents, as Hillary Clinton has declared multiple times. Again, many say that Hillary is running for president. Here we go.
A determined demagogue, unfortunately supported by members of his political party, other enablers, people who care more about a future tax cut than the sanctity of the Constitution, are falling in line behind him. They are trying to excuse some of the most outrageous things that you just recited. And I don't think the press has done enough to basically say, okay, the circus is here. You can watch the circus. But let's tell you what that means. Let's talk to people who have a real understanding of how dictatorships evolve. Let's look at the people that he admires and what they've already done. You know, back in 2016, we didn't have interviews with him. We didn't have a track record of 4 years in office. You know, there was a lot of speculation. And, you know, I understood that people wouldn't take what I said necessarily as gospel about what I thought could happen. I get that. But now we know. We've seen him and we've heard him. And so we need to do a better job of making it absolutely clear that someone who says these things, you know, maybe he wouldn't jail all of his political opponents. One is one too many. Maybe he wouldn't try to force out of business the, you know, members of the press who didn't agree with him. One is one too many. We go down the line. And maybe this would be our last election. Because someone who will not accept the validity of an election is someone who doesn't believe in elections. He believes in his own power, his own right to power, and his demand that he be installed regardless of whether he gets the votes or not.
Man, that is so salty. That should have been our Salt That Lib for the day. Man, that is so unbelievably salty. I don't... What's it like waking up in the morning and like looking in the mirror and just lying to yourself, right? Like we can live in reality here, but waking up in the mirror and looking like the worst lies are the ones that you tell yourself, like lying to yourself about your own weight and your own health, and lying to yourself about your own family and the things that are wrong in your life. And these people who like or have the capacity to just lie to themselves and deceive themselves, it is remarkable. Every single time you hear hear somebody like Hillary Clinton on Joe Scarborough say that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, you have to reinterpret that. You have to have the translator for how these people view the world and how they actually speak. And say what they mean there, because these people don't love democracy. If they loved democracy, they wouldn't be importing 30 million voters and for having them vote illegally. If they loved democracy, they wouldn't do permanent mail-in voting and 30 days of voting and ballot drops at 3 a.m. If they loved democracy, they wouldn't scream like demons every time you want to do signature verifications or ID checks if they love democracy. They don't love democracy. Hillary Clinton, every single time a Middle Eastern country chose a leader that she didn't like, she bombed them. She sent in the troops to go kill everyone. She didn't love democracy. She don't love democracy. They're a threat to Trump's a threat to democracy. No, Trump's a threat to my power, which is what's actually at play here. This is what Hillary Clinton's actually saying. And these are the kind of, you just have to turn on the translator there. You hear that a lot. Trump, threat to democracy. Trump, threat to democracy. Every time you hear that, just translate it correctly. They don't love democracy. If they love democracy, they do single day of voting, voter ID, paper ballots, and then they'd stop bombing the hell out of countries who chose leaders that we don't like. Who cares? But they love one thing more than anything, which is their own power. And this is the narrative that gets them power. They've done all the testing. This is the narrative that works for their base. It is remarkable to see the capacity of these people to lie to themselves as they try to lock up the person who will win the 2024 election. They're trying to, and they possibly will, we'll see in a matter of weeks, put him in jail. I want to prepare you for that. It has been their psychosexual fantasy for a very long time to put Donald Trump in prison. And if they're this close, do you think they'll show restraint now? Have they shown restraint on anything with Donald Trump? So I'm telling you, you just got to prepare. Donald Trump, they may send Donald Trump to prison. So Hillary Clinton doing fundraisers now with Joe Biden. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Hillary Clinton going on the road to help Joe. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see what happens. I'm telling you, lock in. It is going to be a wild time. It is going to be a crazy next couple months. We're going to see things that we never thought we'd see here in this country. And I guess that's been the better part of the last 4 years. We can, I guess, lock that in and say, yeah, that's been the case. But the ruling elites are desperate. They are backed into a corner, and they're going to start doing some crazy stuff. Be prepared, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be ready to go live at any time. We'll be following, obviously, the breaking news, and we won't miss a beat. I hope and pray that you don't either. Stay connected with this show. Use Patriot Mobile. Ensure that you are always online and able to watch the program and do so on a secure and stable cell network, and that is what Patriot Mobile has. They keep our show up and running. We were just in Detroit. We have some awesome content that we filmed in Detroit. We went to neighborhoods that looked like the front lines of Ukraine. I mean, it's crazy, right? It's like neighborhoods just weren't, they just wiped off the map. You're like in downtown Detroit, but you're in like a place that looked just completely bombed out. It's wild. It was wild. Anyway, our phones worked perfectly there. That was a rough part of town. Worked perfectly. Stayed connected. Probably not a particularly safe part of town either, so we were happy to be using Patriot Mobile, patriotmobile.com/Benny. Call 972-PATRIOT, get free activation today with the offer code Benny. Join me and make the switch today, patriotmobile.com/Benny. Okay, so probably something that they wish there were no cell phones at was the fundraiser with Joe Biden and Barack Obama in Hollywood this past week. Now, ALX, I don't see some of the, I need you to build this out. I don't see some of the, I want the footage from the actual event. I want Joe Biden wobbling off stage, and I want Joe Biden kind of like mumbling. Yeah, I mean, we got to show you how bad, how bad this all is. Trump is effectively hitting hard on the fact that Joe Biden couldn't get words out of his mouth and couldn't even find his way off stage without Barack Obama literally physically grabbing his arm and dragging him. This is what Donald Trump said yesterday about this absolute dumpster fire of an event.
Joe Biden is humiliating our country on the world stage. He's actually humiliating us. You saw what happened this weekend. It's turning the United States into a total joke all over the world. First, he wandered off the G7 in Europe, the stage. He looked like he didn't know where the hell he was, but he didn't know where he was. He's blaming it now on AI. He's saying he doesn't know what AI is, but that's okay. Now they're saying the media is manipulating. Oh, he's saying the media is manipulating. Now, on that one, I have to stick up for the media, I have to tell you. He said the media is manipulating the pictures of him constantly not knowing where the hell he is. They're doing just the opposite. They're making him look better. At the G7 in Europe, and he had to be rescued by other world leaders. They had to pull him back. Then he bizarrely put his face on the Pope's forehead. What was that all about? That was weird. Did you see the Pope? The Pope is like, what's happening? The Pope didn't really know what was happening. He said, this is strange. Then he froze during the celebration on the White House lawn. Then Barack Hussein Obama had to grab his hand and lead him off the stage as though he were a child. I have to tell you, Obama could have handled that differently.
Oh, man. So this is called vintage Trump. This is Trump at his absolute best. I haven't heard a good Barack Hussein Obama in a long time. And this is what he was talking about right here. This is Barack Obama. They've tried really, really hard to they've tried really hard to like bury this clip. But this is it. Here we go. You can see Joe staring, freezing, and sorry, man. And then being walked, being perp walked effectively off the stage by Obama. It's a terrifying clip. You can see here, like, Joe doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know what he's doing. Obama physically grabbing his arm to drag him off stage. Dude, this is bad, but this is just the ending. Listen to what the guy said on stage. Watch Obama's body language here.
What? It's growing. The economy's growing. People doing better. We have the highest unemployment, the lowest unemployment rate in 50 years. We have more people. We've had over 15 million people brand new hired into the workforce. You know, my son says we all have we all have various short-term descriptions for your jobs, for what you accomplished. And he should say Joe Jobs.
What? What is wrong with you, man? What is wrong with you? This is okay. So Trump brought up like 5 things in short order. All right, talking about this is the Joe Biden getting having to once again get wrangled and manhandled back into the group at the G7. There were some parachuters who came down from the sky during one of their stupid little performances that they do for these world leaders. And you can see here Joe Biden just wandering towards the bushes. Just wandering towards the bushes. Giorgia Meloni had to drag him back in. And watch Joe Biden now struggle to put his glasses on. What? This is like so painful. Look at his arm. Why is his arm stuck there? Look at his arm. And then Joe Biden's arm's just stuck. So what did the White House have to say about that? About this clip, which comes from NATO. It's like a clip. This clip's from NATO. Here's cringe.
Ironically, several recent cheap fakes actually attacked the president for thanking troops. For thanking troops. That is what they're attacking the president for. Both in Normandy, this happened, and again in Italy. And I think that it tells you everything that we need to know about how desperate how desperate Republicans are here. And instead of talking about the president's performance in office, and what I mean by that is his legislative wins, what he's been able to do for the American people across the country, we're seeing these deep fakes, these manipulated videos. And it is, again, done in bad faith.
Dude, NATO released that video. So we went back and checked, like, where the video of Joe Biden wandering off, this video, okay? We went back and checked. It's from NATO. It's from like the like G7. It's from like the actual organization that brings together all these European leaders and all these world leaders. So what are you saying? You saying they're Russian agents? Yeah. I guess if you were going to say that something was a deep fake, then this image right here would probably be the one that you should be going after, right? This image is so creepy. It looks like a daywalker, right? Trying to suck the life force out of someone. Look at Joe Biden. Look at his hair. Look at his scalp. Look at the bruising on his head. Look at the translucency of his skin. He looks just like a daywalker. He looks like a vampire. He's like trying to like suck the life force out of the Pope. By the way, also, you're not allowed to touch the Pope. Pope's kind of like the Queen. You're not supposed to touch the Pope. You're not supposed to grab him or like jostle him. Obviously, there are rules to these things. You're not allowed to touch the Queen. Okay, it's the same with the Pope. Look at it. Look at it. It's a vampire trying to suck the life force out of something. Oh, it's so awful. Why is he touching his forehead like that? So you're breaking every protocol, but then also you're like creeping the hell out of this. You're like creeping the hell out of this old man. I think the Pope's I think the Pope's like 86. Here's a video of this actually happening. Biden embraces is it like really weird, gross. I love Javier Milei. So you can see like Javier Milei. This is great. This is the leader of Argentina. Look at him. Look at him over the shoulder. He's like, what the hell is going on? You look at the way he's looking at Biden. You can see him over the shoulder there. Look at the way he's looking at Biden. What's wrong with this guy? What is wrong with this guy? Oh man, dude, what a shambles! And this administration, this entire country is just in shambles right now. We need some people to fix this. We need to fix it. We gotta fix it. We gotta fix it. This is so creepy. I mean, it's entertaining. It's entertaining. We should print this out. This is great. Look at the disgust that Javier Milei is a Catholic, right? So like, look at the disgust that he has at Joe Biden trying to do a daywalker, succubus, life force operation on the Pope. So creepy. So creepy. Can we put up that image one more time, Klein? Here you go. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Your resident. There's your resident. Ooh, man. Okay. Well, all right. How will we ever get any accountability in this country? Well, there is actually oversight of the Biden administration. That oversight happens inside of the legislative branch of government, which is actually Article 1, which means it's first for a reason. And a chairman, ladies and gentlemen, of the House Committee on Oversight of January 6th, a man named Barry Loudermilk, one of the darkest and most mysterious days in all of American history, joins the program now for some answers. Chairman Loudermilk, thank you so much for being on the program. Yeah, the country just seems to be in shambles. We seem to be a bit of a laughingstock. And many, I think, around the country and certainly on this program, look at the events of January 6th and see some real head-scratching contrivances and actions by our leaders on that day. And so I just like, the floor is yours. Could you update us on your work in your committee?
Well, thanks for having me on, first of all. And yeah, you're right about the time we're living in is strange. It's weird, and it's exacerbated by every theory you can imagine under the sun through social media and every platform. Everyone's got a theory about what happened or what didn't happen. And so part of our job was to cut through all of that and get to the truth of what happened, because American people deserve the truth, to know what happened on January 6th and what didn't happen. And so we are now a year and a half into the investigation. We actually started at the beginning of this Congress in January of last year, when then Speaker Kevin McCarthy appointed me as the chairman over this special subcommittee looking into what happened on January 6th, because we knew, even from the legislative branch, things didn't add up. And I knew from firsthand experience that the report that came out from the Select Committee, Pelosi's committee, was just filled with inaccuracies and flat out lies. And so we needed to get to the bottom of what really happened. The first year was basically just investigation, getting information together, because the Select Committee, Pelosi's committee, failed to archive a lot of the information, a lot of the documents that they supposedly used. I mean, they videotaped every deposition and transcribed interview, and they're all missing. They didn't keep any of them. And there were documents that were sent to the White House instead of their House documents. But instead of being archived in the House, they were sent to the White House or the Department of Homeland Security. And what we found out is through a lot of effort in acquiring those documents, basically would not take no for an answer. And we fought the Homeland Security, we fought the White House. We were able to get those documents. And as what we found out is any document or any evidence that didn't support the preconceived narrative by Pelosi Select Committee was either destroyed or it was hidden with the intention of us not seeing it. But through the work of our committee and especially our staff, we've been able to uncover a lot of information that totally dispels the narrative that Americans were sold by the Select Committee on January 6th.
So just prima facie, that's illegal, right? You can't just delete the evidence.
You're not supposed to, that's for sure. It's in the violation of House rules as well as the guidelines from the clerk of the House. Now, technically, according to the clerk, it's up to the chairman's decision, the discretion of the chairman of the committee, what should be archived. But the guidelines say that the chairman has to archive anything that is relative to their legislative work, which basically, if you used it in a report, it had to be archived. What we're looking at is they purposefully didn't use information in their report. For instance, everyone's familiar with Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony, her earth-shattering testimony in June of 2021, to where she was paraded before America and she came up with these elaborate stories about President Trump trying to take the steering wheel from the Secret Service agent, choking a Secret Service agent, agreeing that Mike Pence should be hung. I mean, there was a lot of information that she gave that they put her on the world stage without any corroboration at all, especially when it came to the president supposedly attacking 2 Secret Service agents. Now, you would think if you're running a real investigation, and first of all, you got to consider the timeline of her testimony. She had already testified 3 times before the committee and didn't mention any of this stuff. After her 3rd testimony, she had a private meeting with Liz Cheney. After that meeting, Cassidy Hutchinson fired her attorney, and Liz Cheney got her a new attorney, pro bono. And then there was a 4th interview when all of this came out. Immediately after her 4th interview, which was just her and Liz Cheney and her attorney, basically, They came up with these stories. Liz Cheney called an emergency hearing, and that's where they paraded her before the entire country. Now, you would think you would want to hear from the Secret Service agent who was in the car, the driver, if this really happened. They didn't call the driver in until November, i.e. after the election, to get his testimony. At the beginning, and this is his testimony is one of the documents we were seeking from Homeland Security, and we were finally able to get it. And it's ironic, in the very beginning of his deposition with the Select Committee, his attorney chastises the attorneys on Select Committee. He said, look, you came out with these stories in June. We reached out in July, August, September, and now it's November. We've been trying to get to you guys to tell you the truth of what happened, and now it's November that you're calling us in. And so that tells me right there they were trying to stonewall because they knew what the Secret Service agent was going to say. And then during their deposition, they never asked him about the incident. Did President Trump try to take the steering wheel from you? They never asked him about it. You would think that would be the number one question. He had to insert it on his own, and they tried to block him from saying anything about it. So this is just one piece of the evidence that shows that anything that did not support their preconceived narrative that Trump was behind all of this, he was the cause of the attack on the Capitol, and that he was to blame. Anything that was contrary to that, they suppressed that evidence, hid it from the American people, destroyed it, or sent it to where we couldn't get hold of it. But fortunately, because of the diligence of the committee's work, we were able to get these, and we're starting to come out with all of this information now.
And we're thankful for that. I believe it is your committee that was responsible for the release of some of this footage of Nancy Pelosi on that day.
Yes.
She had her little daughter, videographer, documentarian, clomping around with her everywhere, including as she went through the Capitol and stopped in order to make sure that her daughter had the shot. This is some of my favorite footage. But this video, this was released last week. We wanted to get sort of your response to this. I'm sure you've, obviously you've seen the video, but it's Nancy Pelosi saying, yeah, I'm responsible for the fact that there was no National Guard at the Capitol.
Should we call the Capitol?
Can we mute this clip, please? Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is something that blows the hole in the narrative, I think, from a 30,000-foot thermonuclear perspective. If Donald Trump offered 20,000 National Guard troops to be at the U.S. Capitol, then there would be no January 6th.
Right.
Nancy Pelosi is somebody who had the power to accept those National Guard troops and didn't. And now there's video of Nancy Pelosi admitting that it's her that she didn't do that, and now January 6th is her responsibility. It falls on her from a security and responsibility standpoint. That seems pretty damning, Mr. Chairman.
Well, it would be. It's first of all, these videos are again something that was not archived by the Select Committee. We wrote a letter to HBO, hoping we're trying to basically gather all the information that they had, which we're still working on. There's still pieces of missing information. So as part of this, to collect all of every piece of information the Select Committee had, I just wrote a letter to HBO saying, can you send us all the footage that you sent the Select Committee? I did not think they would respond. I thought I would end up having to subpoena them, but they turned right around and sent us everything. And this was unedited. I mean, this is a full clip right there of what her daughter recorded. And when I first saw it, when we received it, I'm like, but that's actually an act of pure leadership, taking responsibility. I agree with her. Yeah, the security of the Capitol is ultimately your responsibility as Speaker. But after the dust settled, it's a different story. She's looking for someone else to pass the blame on. One of the things that we learned out of this video clip, though, is we have two timelines we're dealing with on the National Guard issue. The first is the delay of actually requesting the National Guard. You see, we do know that on January the 3rd, President Trump was briefed on some intelligence that indicated there's a high probability there could be violence at the Capitol on January 6th. We know that President Trump ordered the National Guard to be readied. We also know that he authorized up to 10,000 troops to be used between Metropolitan Police and the Capitol Police. But because of the separation of powers in the Constitution, as you know, the president just can't send the National Guard to the Capitol. It has to be requested. Otherwise, an out-of-control rogue president could send the military over there to take over Congress. So we have that separation of powers. On January the 3rd, President Trump delegated the deployment responsibility to the Secretary of Defense, which is the proper authority. The National Guard was ready. The Quick Reaction Force was ready to go on January 6th with their riot gear. Chief Sund, who was the chief of the Capitol Police, made multiple requests before and during January 6th for the National Guard to be deployed. It's up to the Capitol Police Board, the two sergeant-at-arms from the Senate and the House, and the architect of the Capitol have to approve it. Well, the House sergeant-at-arms works for the Speaker. So we've been trying to figure out, we do know he made multiple requests. Those were denied. And also they were denied because someone in the chain didn't like the optics. That comes up time and time again. My assumption was Pelosi turned down the request. When I look at this video, I think she's genuinely surprised that the National Guard had not been sent earlier. We also do know that at some point during the day, her chief of staff handed her a note on the floor saying the Capitol Police, they're requesting the National Guard. And that's what she's referring to in that clip. She says, just don't hand me a note on the floor asking National Guard. They should have been here before now. So somebody somewhere told the sergeant-at-arms that they're not to ask for the National Guard. So that's our first delay. The second delay was once Pelosi said, yes, get the National Guard here, there was over a 3-hour delay of actually getting the National Guard to the Capitol once they were approved and the order to deploy was given. So we're looking at two different separate delays where either one could have saved lives. If Pelosi would have approved the National Guard on the 5th when Chief Sund requested him on the 5th, I don't think you would have had the violence that you have. I mean, no. You would have had National Guard soldiers there along with the Capitol Police and riot gear, you know, basically protecting the outer barriers. But even if they had just, if the Department of Defense would have deployed the National Guard when it was approved at 2:30, there would have been lives saved, in my opinion, because there was an individual that was trampled well after the time that the National Guard would have arrived. And just the visual of National Guardsmen getting off the bus in riot gear, I think would have quelled some of the violence as well. So this is another example of how information, had this video clip been out in 2021 or 2022, the American people wouldn't have bought this story that Liz Cheney and the Select Committee sold to the American people, that this was all organized and orchestrated by Donald Trump. It's all his fault. And he was knowledgeable of all of this and participated in it, which none of that is shown to be true through the evidence that we're uncovering. And by the way, when we uncover evidence, we're going to make it available to the American people.
So actually, the evidence points to Donald Trump being the #1 person to prevent January 6th by saying, go peacefully to the Capitol, by administering the authority for 20,000 National Guard troops to go and stand at the U.S. Capitol. I've seen the National Guard deployed in Washington, D.C. I lived there for 15 years. You don't step to those guys. Those guys can really lock down a building. And it's a military force. There is no way that that civilians are going to mess with that. It is a very, very intimidating look. So there would be absolutely zero January 6th if Donald Trump got his way.
Right.
But it does seem so confusing. It seems like there were so many people that had a different plan for that day, and that they wanted the chaos, and that they were prepared for the fallout of the chaos. And this is a clip I can't get out of my head, and since I got you on the show, I have to play it. It's Nancy Pelosi in her office, you know, whilst the riot is occurring, and she's speaking to her staff, And she says she wants to punch Trump, and that's fine. Like everyone focuses on that. What I'm focusing on is what she says directly afterward, which is trespassing at the Capitol. I've been waiting for this. Here's the clip.
Service said they have dissuaded him from coming to Capitol Hill. They told him they don't have the resources to protect him here. So at the moment he is not coming, but that could change.
I would come, I'm gonna punch him out. This is my
wow,
moment.
I would pay to see
I've
that.
been waiting for this, for trespassing on the Capitol grounds. I'm gonna
Okay,
punch
so-
him out and I'm gonna go to jail.
So I've been waiting for this, trespassing on the Capitol grounds. One, what a strange thing to say. Because the Capitol grounds are like open 365 days a year. You can go like walk right into the Capitol right now as an American citizen, go do a tour. So that's a very peculiar thing to say. And then trespassing is something that they've hit every J6er with as a charge. And it just seems like a very acute and peculiar thing for the Speaker of the House to declare with her little claw and say, oh, yeah, I've been waiting for this. What the hell is that? What does that even mean, Mr. Chairman?
Well, it's kind of in line with the comments she made after the dust had settled, after those who got in the Capitol were cleared. Then she decided to put up fencing around the Capitol with Constantine wire on the top, razor wire, because she likes the optics of that. And from her words is, I want the country to see what Donald Trump did, right? So it's again shifting the blame over there. She's saying, I want Donald Trump to come over here so I can punch him in the face. I'll go to jail for it. They're already starting to pin this on Donald Trump, that the riot was he was planning to come to the Capitol and lead the riot. Well, that's part of the argument the Select Committee has been making, but there is zero evidence whatsoever that there was ever a plan for the president to come to the Capitol. In fact, it's the exact opposite. When the committee did ask Secret Service agents or White House employees, was there a plan to go to the Capitol? They all said no, because that takes a lot of planning. And even the physician would know about it. The Secret Service would know about it. There's extensive planning to get the president to move, even at the last minute, from one place to the other. And there was nothing in place for that. While he was speaking, again, as Donald Trump says, peacefully go to the Capitol and protest. His idea was to go stand around the Capitol, and as you've lived in D.C., there's protests there all the time. The area around the Capitol is sectioned off where you get permits. You get a permit and you can have your group there and you can protest. Every permit had been issued, and so there was the intent to be around the Capitol protesting that day. I think anybody in the right mind would understand that when the president says, I want you to go to the Capitol and peaceably protest to let your voice be heard. And he says, I may go with you. That was a spur of the moment thing. It wasn't even in the transcribed, his teleprompter. It wasn't even in his speech. That's just, you know how Trump is. He ad-libs quite often. That was ad-libbed. And according to the Secret Service agents, when he got back in the car, he said, can we go to the Capitol? And they said, no, sir, we can't safely get you there. He's like, okay. So even his actions in the White House, he did not know about the breach of the Capitol until he was back in the Oval Office. One of the White House's employees, which is from a transcript of an interview the Select Committee did with a White House employee, and this was these were some of the interviews that their transcripts were hidden from us that we were able to obtain. They asked him, were you with the president when he found out that the Capitol had been breached, that there was violence at the Capitol? And he said, yes, I was. And they said, what was the president's reaction? He said he was shocked, he was surprised, and his first words were, get Pelosi and General Milley on the phone to see what they need. Right? His reaction was, what can we do to help? Which had been his reaction all along. Even in the planning, we have found out that the Secret Service had recommended to Pelosi that she put non-scalable security fencing around the Capitol for January 6th. She didn't like the optics of it, so she turned it down. So there were efforts, because there was intelligence that the executive branch had, that there was a high probability of violence at the Capitol. That, by the way, that intelligence was given to the Capitol Police Intelligence Division, but it was never passed on to the chief of police. He had no idea that this was there. It's another area we're investigating. Was that information purposely suppressed, or was it incompetence that they didn't pass it along? I mean, you've got intelligence says high probability of violence, but the security notice they send out says there's a potential for violence, but highly unlikely. That's the exact opposite of what the intelligence is saying. And so there's a lot of contrast, there's a lot of contradictions, and there's flat out misinformation that came out of the select committee.
So I just before we go, I have to hit on one quick thing. You mentioned Mark Milley there. We've seen a number of articles and quite a bit of testimony out of your committee saying that it was actually, if there was somebody who was really holding up coordination, or if there was a operator from inside of the White House who was ensuring that this day was as bad as it could possibly get, it was Mark Milley. Mark Milley was meeting with Barack Obama's national security advisor in the hours and days leading up to January 6th, Susan Rice. Why the hell would you possibly be doing that? And Mark Milley, of course, based on the testimony, held up the National Guard and is one of those people inside of that chain that wouldn't allow the National Guard to go there. Well, why? It doesn't make any sense, unless, of course, you're trying to sabotage Donald Trump. Your thoughts on the sort of takeaway pressure that people are beginning to apply on Mark Milley and seeing his role in the failures of January 6th?
Yeah, so the picture that you're showing right now is a news article from a hearing that we had where we had 4 high-ranking National Guard members. You're talking about general rank, full colonel, and command sergeant major, and a captain who was the general's aide that day, all testified that once that the National Guard had been formally requested, there were senior officials in the Pentagon who highly recommended the National Guard not be sent because they didn't like the optics. In fact, went as far as, in their opinion, in their testimony, was delaying the National Guard until the violence was over. They didn't want them engaged in the violence. But the issue is that the National Guard, DC National Guard, is called the Guardians of the Capitol. They're in riot gear. They're there to squelch this type of activity. It doesn't do any good to send them after the fact, which Nancy Pelosi used very effectively. She loved the imagery of having National Guard around the Capitol after the fact, but not beforehand. And so the testimony from these high-ranking officials, which were all the same, was that there was efforts within the Pentagon to delay the deployment of the National Guard even after it was approved. Now, Democrats were saying, well, the president should have picked up the phone and called the Pentagon and said, send the National Guard now. Why haven't they been sent? Well, the issue is he had already delegated that authority and that decision-making to the Secretary of Defense on January the 3rd. He had already delegated that authority there. The president's got his hands full with other things. And that decision was fully given to Secretary Miller, which was then given to Secretary McCarthy, which was over he's Secretary of the Army. And so he's the one who was to relay the message to the National Guard, who were ready to deploy, sitting with their equipment on, ready to go. And it still was about 3.5 hours before they were actually sent to the Capitol. And so we're investigating that aspect. And there are several senior officials in the Pentagon that we're wanting to talk to, and we're seeking more information to find out, was it a communications error? What did you guys just make a mistake and you're covering it up? And a lot of times the cover-up's worse than the crime. But we're trying to get to the bottom, because the fact is there were unneeded delays to request the National Guard. There was unnecessarily and unneeded delays in deploying the National Guard. And were those delays purposeful on either end?
Yeah, there was no delay in deploying the National Guard during the Antifa and BLM riots to protect national monuments and to ensure that the violent left didn't storm a building and burn it down. They tried to kill Donald Trump. They burned down buildings at the White House. And I think the left realized very quickly that that would be a very bad look for them. right? Because you get these kind of narratives. And so they locked DC down. I mean, I saw it with my own eyes. The National Guard was staged in my neighborhood. That's where they were all camped out at, right near the armory. And so they were perfectly willing to use the National Guard to protect the imagery, to prevent BLM or Antifa from doing something stupid and burning down a monument or raiding a federal building, because they knew that was certainly possible. It is a remarkable turn on January 6th. It is. It really is, quite frankly, quite out of character, and it leads shows like ours to really wonder how pre-planned all of this was.
And that's part of some of what we're hearing and we're looking at is they took a lot of criticism for actions that they took during the riots in 2020. And even General Milley said he didn't like the optics of some of that. Did that play into not sending the National Guard, that you were hesitant because you took criticism when you used them earlier? None of that should come into play. You've got a job to do. You have a duty. You have a constitutional responsibility. When the request was made by the legislative branch, an official request for National Guard assistance, the response should be, let's get them there as fast as we can. We've also been told, well, we had to put together an op plan. Really? Did you not have op plans already together? And simply your op plan is this: send the National Guard to the Capitol. They get sworn in by the Capitol Police, and then they take their orders from the Capitol Police. I mean, that's the extent of the op plan that you need, is just get them there, and then they fall under the jurisdiction of the Capitol Police because they're sworn in as adjunct officers of the police department. And so we're getting a lot of excuses from the Pentagon. What we're wanting is just the truth. Let's just get the truth out there, good, bad, or ugly. And, again, cover up tends to be worse than the actual issue. But someone does need to be held accountable for this. But more importantly, how can we fix it? How can we streamline the process to make sure that this doesn't happen again, that we don't have these kind of failures? The only way that you can fix it is to admit to your failures and then work on it. And so that's another part of our job, is the last phase of our investigation is going to be, well, all right, let's pass some legislation, or let's make changes to make sure that this stuff never happens again. And right now, I don't think that there has been any significant changes in the security protocols at the Capitol, because even within the Capitol Police, they're unwilling to look at some of the issues that was there, including the heavy politicization of the Capitol Police. There's too much politics involved in decisions.
Yeah, I really hope that you call Nancy Pelosi and get her deposition. That would be, I think, so important in this entire chain. I know it breaks protocol and it hurts people's feelings, but man, Pelosi really needs to start answering questions. There's so many strange happenings that day. And it's, it shocks the conscience, quite frankly, when you actually start to look hard enough at the data and the evidence and not at the talking points. So, Mr. Chairman, we thank you for uncovering truth and for shedding light on this dark day. Salt and light is what we are called to be, and you certainly, sir, have been exposing what really happened. And we're adults; we can handle it, and we appreciate your work. So, thank you and Godspeed.
Thank you. I enjoyed being with you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, why not move to a lighter subject? Okay, why not move to a lighter? January 6th. There's so much darkness that went on that day. I mean, it's really, you could feel like the dark spiritual energy in DC for months after that. You could feel it. I don't know how else to explain it. It's why my family got out. I mean, we got out. Right? It was like something changed. And it wasn't actually January 6th. It was actually like election night. It was election night in 2020, man. You could just sense there was a vibe shift in that city. And you had to get out. Something was wrong. And we got out. And we're really thankful for that. Would we be really thankful if Donald Trump took Joy Behar and Rachel Maddow off the air? Wouldn't really be in his nature, Not sure, but they are mewling and complaining about it. Joy Behar worries that Trump will get The View and Rachel Maddow canceled. Oh, no. Oh, boy. You know, you can only really get so excited about clips like this. How about our Salt That Lib for the day? Let's salt Rachel Maddow and Joy Behar together as they both wrestle with the idea of Donald Trump deleting their shows.
So you said recently that you thought that you, as an outspoken critic, could be a target yourself. Some people think that sounds overdramatic, but I'm right there with you. I think that he is so vindictive that he will go after, however he has to, through the IRS maybe, or even through sponsors to get us off the air maybe, or you. Yeah. How seriously should we be taking that?
Well, so I was asked, am I worried about me? And my answer was, I'm worried about all of us. I'm no more worried about me than I am worried about everybody in the country. Yeah. I think it's bad to have somebody saying, give me as much power as you can in this country so I can use it to go after other Americans. So I can use it to go after these subhuman internal enemies and I'll destroy them. Like, that's just not a good system for anybody. And I don't think anybody's safe if that's the sort of basis on which he wants to get more power.
Well, remember when Nixon had an enemies list? That was a proud moment for a lot of people if they were on the enemies list. Maybe we need to turn it around like that.
Well, I think that if he decides that he's going to go after you or me or anybody who's well known, we have resources. We'll likely be fine. But I think there's a pattern where he picks out individual people and effectively terrorizes them. I mean, there's Stormy Daniels wearing a bulletproof vest to get into
it's ridiculous.
The courthouse, right?
Once you have political violence, you have fascism following that. So
Come on, invite me on The View. Come on. The follow-up there is, what's the definition of fascism, Joy? So let's start with that. Well, you're going to have fascism. Okay, so what's the definition of fascism? Just define it, please. Well, if she's not smart enough to give this answer, but it is the correct answer. It's when the government and private corporations unite in order to oppress people. Oh, got it. Okay, so what's Pride Month? So what is DEI? So what is every corporate agenda, whether it's in video games or dog food or beer, the NFL shoved down our throat? Your worldview, Democrat politics uniting with corporate America to shove agendas down all of our throats and then to punish people. Oh boy. Make sure that you are spending correctly, otherwise your bank will cancel you and debank you. Make sure that you're all up to date on your vaccination cards, otherwise you won't be able to travel or have a job. That's fascism. Do you not understand that? That's fascism. No? You don't see it for yourself? You can't see in the mirror? Also, I can't get it out of my head that Rachel Maddow looks just like Pee Wee Herman, and that's fact, and not going to apologize for that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are sitting here doing our very best to piss off those two, Rachel Maddow and Joy Behar. We say thank you for supporting this show and for ensuring that we can have bigger audiences and create a more powerful movement than Rachel Maddow or Joy Behar could ever possibly imagine. It is a movement of you and me and the actual people, and we have a lot of fun doing it. And we just say thank you. It's really a great vibe. It's really a good energy, and it's something that we're gonna keep. It's something that we're gonna keep through the 2024 election. Man, the Trump-Biden debates are happening next week. We're going to get Supreme Court decisions either tomorrow or on Friday about Donald Trump and immunity. They've already put up the fencing around the Supreme Court. Ooh, yikes. They don't do that unless the libs are going to be big mad. So be prepared, ladies and gentlemen. It's gonna come hot and heavy in the next couple of weeks, and we'll be here for it. We say thank you, and the best thanks that we can possibly give you is our verse of the day, so that you have some truth to sort of hold with you as you go through the day. Psalms 16:8. I keep my eyes on the Lord, and with him at my right hand, I will not be shaken. There's going to be a lot of shaking throughout the next couple months. There's going to be so many crazy things. Make sure that you have your heart set on the Lord, that you have your heart set on that which is eternal and has been there for all time. That strength and that truth that your ancestors relied on when their worlds were crumbling, and when the horrors untold of past generations descended upon them. And this was always their rock and their stronghold. And so make sure that it's yours as well. Make sure that you don't miss this moment, right? It's an opportunity for us to practice our faith and to say we will not be shaken. As we march forward, it's your boy Benny marching right alongside you. Happy warriors. Can't defeat an army of happy warriors. We'll see you.
What are you guys doing?
We're all gonna die.
You know what they say about the crazy ones?
Huh? What was that? I should kill everyone and escape? Sorry. The voices.
The hell's wrong with you people?
We're bad guys. It's what we do.
Hope you got insurance.